Hello, everyone. In October 1982, in a hospital in Henan, China, a chilling case unfolded that sent shockwaves through the community. The hospital, often shrouded in quiet whispers of concealed secrets, became the stage for a grim event that cast fear over its corridors. Nights, once tranquil, grew heavy with unease as a shadowy figure seemed to lurk within, challenging the sense of safety. Investigators, faced with sparse clues, embarked on a daunting journey to uncover the truth. The silence and eerie hints left behind haunted everyone, fueling endless speculation. The disappearance. On October 5, 1982, the Criminal Investigation Department of Anyang Public Security Bureau received a report of a missing person. The caller reported that a young nurse named Dao, working at the North Henan Workers' Hospital, had disappeared. Initially, her colleagues believed she had left on urgent business without informing anyone. It wasn't until they contacted her family and learned she hadn't returned home or reached out that they began to suspect something was amiss. Hospital management, realizing the gravity of the situation, promptly reported the matter to the police. The criminal investigation team quickly arrived at the scene. Through interviews with hospital staff, they learned that Dao was last seen in the on-call room. However, upon inspection, the room had been thoroughly cleaned. The desk was spotless, and the floor gleamed. It was clear that the scene had been meticulously sanitized, leaving no obvious clues. The only potential lead was a young nurse named Lan, who had been the first to enter the on-call room that morning. Lan explained that she arrived at the room at 7 a.m. to find the door wide open, but no sign of Dao. She assumed Dao might have stepped out for breakfast. The only oddity was a white cloth draped over the window, an unusual sight, as Dao was not known to do this. Lan dismissed it, thinking perhaps Dao had been trying to block out the morning light to rest better. Lan tidied up the room, rearranged items, and cleaned the floor. By 8 a.m., however, Dao still hadn't returned. Concerned, Lan noticed Dao's handbag was still in the room, but there was no trace of her. Lan remembered a terrifying incident from the previous year when a young woman's body had been stolen from the hospital morgue. The body had been discovered mutilated, with signs of sexual assault, and the case remained unsolved. This dark memory fueled Lan's anxiety, prompting her to report Dao's disappearance to hospital management, who in turn alerted the authorities. Investigation unfolds. The police quickly focused on the peculiar detail of the cloth covering the window. They hypothesized that Dao might have done this to conceal something happening inside the room. They interviewed patients near the on-call room and obtained two critical leads. One patient reported hearing a knock on the room's door around 2 a.m., followed by a scream that abruptly stopped. Another patient mentioned that Dao failed to administer his scheduled 4 a.m. injection. Based on these accounts, investigators estimated that Dao likely encountered trouble between 2:30 a.m. and 4 a.m. The fact that someone could vanish within a bustling hospital raised alarms. To avoid public panic, local authorities ordered an expedited investigation. With the crime scene compromised and no surveillance cameras in the hospital, progress was slow. The police called on the public to help locate the missing nurse. A breakthrough in the case. Surprisingly, just one day later, someone discovered a bundle of clothes in a field on the outskirts of Anyang. Wrapped in a white medical coat, the bundle contained women's clothing that appeared nearly new. At the time, discarding new clothes was highly unusual due to economic conditions. The white coat's association with a nurse immediately raised suspicions. The clothes were sent to the special investigation team, and Dao's family and colleagues confirmed that they belonged to her. Forensic analysis revealed a crucial detail. The dirt on the coat and pants matched the soil from the field, but the dust on her undergarments suggested an indoor origin. Dao, known for her cleanliness and professional habits, would not have allowed her undergarments to become soiled this way. These findings pointed to a disturbing conclusion. Dao's disappearance was not random, and foul play was almost certainly involved. They immediately sent the clothes for testing. However, at that time, the nearest facility capable of conducting such tests was in Shenyang. Traveling back and forth, along with the testing process itself, would likely take a significant amount of time. The investigation team couldn't afford to simply wait for the results. Based on their analysis, the officers unanimously concluded that the perpetrator must have been familiar with the hospital and had likely interacted with Dao. They decided to focus their investigation on young male individuals with criminal records among the hospital staff and their families. However, days passed without any leads, despite the hospital staff providing numerous clues. It wasn't until over a month later, when the results from the clothing analysis conducted in Shenyang arrived, that the case saw a breakthrough. Room number 3. The test results confirmed the police's earlier suspicions. Traces of soil found on Dao's clothes matched the type of soil specific to the hospital. This established the hospital as the primary crime scene. To narrow the scope of the investigation, the team immediately collected soil samples from every ward and department in the hospital and sent them to Shenyang for comparison. After analysis, they identified 2 soil samples that matched the composition of the soil on Dao's undergarments. These samples came from the on-call room and room 3. In other words, the patient in room 3 was now the primary suspect. The investigators promptly reviewed the records of patients who had stayed in room 3, only to be met with an unexpected twist. During the time of the crime, only 2 patients had been assigned to room 3, one surnamed Sun and the other surnamed Chun. However, on the night of the incident, Sun had left the hospital to attend to personal matters, and Chun had been discharged earlier after recovering. This meant that room 3 was unoccupied during the night of the crime. It seemed as if the case had reached a dead end, and Dao's mysterious death might remain unsolved. But further investigations revealed that on the night of the crime, a patient named Lu Guosheng had moved into room 3. Initially assigned to room 6 with his brother, Lu had taken it upon himself to relocate to the vacant room 3. This discovery turned Lu into the focus of the investigation. Background checks revealed that Lu had a troubled past. He had once been detained for harassing a woman, but was released due to a lack of evidence. Further inquiries revealed that Lu had previously displayed inappropriate behavior toward Nurse Dao. During his hospital stay, he repeatedly expressed his feelings for Dao, only to be rejected each time. Most importantly, during the previous year when a body theft occurred at the hospital, Lu had also been admitted and had sufficient time to commit the crime. His presence at the scene of both incidents was too much of a coincidence to ignore. However, despite having motive and opportunity, the investigators lacked conclusive evidence to charge Lu. Moreover, Dao's body was still missing, making it impossible to arrest him based on mere suspicion. Where is the body? As the investigation team struggled, one officer posed a critical question. The hospital gates were locked every night and only reopened at 7 a.m. the next morning. How had the perpetrator managed to remove Dao's body? The team proposed 2 possibilities. First, the killer might have dismembered Dao's body and smuggled the parts out in bags or boxes. Second, the killer might have disguised Dao as a patient being discharged, using a wheelchair or hospital bed to move her. However, the investigation revealed that no patients had been discharged in wheelchairs or beds since the incident. Additionally, dismemberment would have left behind physical evidence such as blood or tissue, but a thorough inspection of all vacant rooms in the hospital yielded no suspicious traces. These 2 theories were thus ruled out. At this point, an investigator suggested a third possibility. What if Dao's body had never left the hospital? Although the hospital was large, hiding a body for over a month without detection seemed unlikely. Moreover, after such a long time, the body would have started decomposing, and the smell would have been noticeable, unless the body was hidden in a place already filled with foul odors. This realization led the investigators to inspect the hospital's sewage and septic tanks. Due to the narrow pipes, it was impossible for anyone to enter the system. Only small animals like cats or dogs could fit. The team then focused on the hospital's septic tanks. Working with sanitation workers, the police emptied 3 septic tanks. While the first 2 yielded nothing, the third revealed a shocking discovery: the naked, headless body of a woman. Upon examination, it was confirmed to be the missing Nurse Dao. With this crucial evidence, Lu Guosheng was immediately arrested. However, Lu remained calm and showed no signs of worry. During his interrogation, he adamantly denied any wrongdoing. But under intense questioning and mounting evidence, he finally confessed to his heinous crime. Liu admitted that on the night of the incident, he had been unable to sleep and decided to walk around the hospital corridor. Passing the on-call room, he noticed Nurse Dao sleeping inside. Overcome by her beauty, he was unable to control his sinister desires. He feigned illness to lure Dao into opening the door. When she recognized him as someone who had harassed her before, she attempted to close the door, but Liu prevented her from doing so. He grabbed her by the neck, pulled her inside, and covered her mouth to silence her screams. Dao struggled desperately, but her resistance only fueled Liu's rage. He brutally punched and kicked her in the head and abdomen until she lost consciousness. Seeing that his young victim was no longer able to resist, Liu Guosheng swiftly carried out his heinous assault. To avoid being discovered, he even used a piece of white cloth to cover the window. After satisfying his twisted desires, he gazed at Dao's lifeless, exposed body and slowly regained his composure. Liu knew that if Dao regained consciousness and called the police, he would face dire consequences. This thought gave rise to an even more sinister idea. With nothing left to lose, Liu strangled Dao until she was dead. After committing this horrific crime, he carried her body to his hospital room, room 3, and hid it under the bed. Liu planned to dispose of the corpse in a few days, but the hospital unexpectedly reported the incident to the authorities sooner than he anticipated. Panicking at the thought of being exposed, Liu took drastic measures. The following evening, he dismembered Dao's body and disposed of her remains in a septic tank. Later, he secretly buried her head near the banks of the Anyang River. Under Liu's guidance, the police eventually found Dao's head, bringing closure to the murder case at the North Henan Workers' Hospital. However, this did not mark the end of Liu Guosheng's reign of terror. During intense interrogations, perhaps aware that execution was inevitable, Liu confessed to committing another atrocious crime a year earlier, involving the desecration and decapitation of a corpse. But investigators were not convinced that these two cases alone accounted for Liu's calculated and cold-blooded methods. A hidden truth emerges. Determined to uncover the full extent of Liu's crimes, the police intensified their investigation. Ultimately, faced with irrefutable evidence, Liu admitted that between June 1980 and October 1982, over the course of 2.5 years, he had repeatedly broken into the dormitories of female workers, threatening them with a knife to sexually harass and rape them. He confessed to assaulting a total of 21 women. However, due to the conservative culture of the time, only 2 of the victims reported the assaults. The remaining 19 women, many of whom were raped multiple times, chose to remain silent. The 2 who did come forward were unable to provide sufficient evidence, as it was dark during the attacks, and Liu acted with extreme aggression. This lack of evidence allowed him to escape punishment repeatedly. Liu Guosheng's crimes were unforgivable. He was nothing less than a monster among humans, and his inhumane actions sent shivers down the spines of all who heard of them. In the end, the Henan Provincial Central Court sentenced him to death, with the sentence carried out immediately. On January 28, 1983, in the execution grounds on the outskirts of Anyang City, a single gunshot ended the life of this monstrous criminal amidst the curses of the crowd. Silence is often seen as a sign of peace, but in reality, it can become fertile ground for the growth of crime. When victims or witnesses are too afraid to speak out, criminals feel emboldened to continue their actions with impunity. The silence of the 21 female workers allowed Liu Guosheng to commit further atrocities at the North Henan Workers' Hospital, where he not only raped the unfortunate nurse, but carried out his barbaric acts with shocking cruelty. Fortunately, the police eventually apprehended this depraved predator. Tattoos are not merely images or words etched onto the skin, yet they symbolize a deep connection to culture, beliefs, and unique personal ideas, reflecting individuality and identity. However, tattoos are not just an art form, they can also be a medium for protest or provocation. At times, certain tattoos spark controversy and ignite intense debates. It is unclear when a trend of tattooing an all-seeing eye on the forehead began in Sichuan province. Yet this distinctive mark made the gang leaders easy to identify, leading to their arrest by the police. On October 20th, 2017, the Public Security Bureau of Daxian County, part of Dazhou City in Sichuan Province, received an unusual report. Around 2 a.m., near a KTV bar, an altercation between rival gangs erupted, escalating into chaos. In this street fight, things turned worse as some individuals resorted to bricks while others wielded knives and machetes. Security cameras captured chilling footage of gang members clashing violently, creating a terrifying scene. Daxian County, located in the urban core of Dazhou City, is a densely populated area bustling with commerce. Bars and KTV lounges have become lucrative businesses, attracting crowds well into the night, keeping the streets lively until dawn. Recently, however, a peculiar youth gang began making waves in the city center. Late at night, they often roamed the streets together. One notable pattern of these gangs was their frequent involvement in brawls at local establishments and residential areas. They brazenly used weapons like knives and machetes to settle disputes, instilling fear and causing economic harm to the community. The escalating attacks by this gang posed a significant security concern for the local residents. The gang's brazen activities garnered attention from the media and the public, prompting the police to swiftly initiate investigations and gather eyewitness accounts. What stood out most was that all the gang members sported a distinctive tattoo on their foreheads, an eye inked right between their eyebrows. This earned them the nickname the Divine Eye Gang. Residents recounted that the gang often appeared in cafes and engaged in illegal activities. To apprehend the gang, police officers disguised themselves and frequented bars. Almost every night, they managed to capture a few gang members, who were easily identified by their unique divine eye tattoos. Through interrogations, authorities identified all individuals involved in the reported incidents using personal identification documents. Several key figures from the video footage were confirmed as the instigators of the violent chases and clashes. The gang's leader was identified as Li Sheng, also known by his nickname The Chimney. Li Sheng, the head of this criminal gang, had established an internet club named the Planar Club and was widely recognized as the gang's ringleader. The story begins with a gang that shares a common interest in getting tattoos of eyes between their eyebrows. This gang takes great pride in having the eye inked on their foreheads. They often organize parades around the city, recording these activities to post on social media platforms. This quickly attracted the attention of a group of people who wanted to join. It is said that to become a member of the gang, one must become a subordinate of the Chimney and operate under the direction of elite members. To join, they must undergo a special initiation ritual. Part of this ritual involves keeping the eyes open during the process of getting the Divine Eye tattoo on the forehead, which demonstrates their commitment and loyalty to the gang. The Divine Eye tattoo plays a significant role in the gang's culture and is regarded as a symbol of youth and distinction. This gang has over 60 members, most of whom have the Divine Eye tattoo on their foreheads. When these members take to the streets, they create an eerie spectacle. People are often frightened when they see them, and the locals call those with eye tattoos on their foreheads the Divine Eye Gang, a name that quickly became a citywide phenomenon. The Divine Eye Gang tends to operate in packs, always calling for support when an incident occurs. For example, if one member is attacked, they can receive help by answering a call via their mobile phones. Meanwhile, the remaining gang members will rush to the designated location as quickly as possible, bringing weapons with them and engaging in criminal activities such as group fights. When the police attempted to arrest the suspects, they found machetes and steel pipes used in the cases. Many of these knives were handmade with the intention of inflicting harm in vital areas. Ultimately, the police concluded that the Divine Eye Gang was using modern internet tools to organize criminal activities. They managed to gather accomplices equipped with dangerous knives to participate in violent confrontations. As an underground organization, the societal harm caused by this gang was immense. In the underground world of the Chimneys Gang, an enigmatic boss known by the alias Li Sheng hails from Dazhou, located in Sichuan Province. When news of one of the members being arrested spread, the remaining members of the gang quickly fled to their hometowns to avoid the police, including their boss. However, the police did not hesitate and acted immediately, heading to Dazhou, where Li Sheng was believed to be hiding. One night, the police discovered him hiding in a barbecue restaurant. The unexpected situation made it easier for the police to arrest Li Sheng. However, he immediately grabbed a 1.5-meter-long knife and fled. To ensure the safety of those around him, the police temporarily abandoned their plan to apprehend him and focused on controlling the situation. But not long after, the investigators discovered a hotel where Li Sheng was hiding. This information was confirmed, and the police wasted no time. They quickly launched a raid. In the intense operation, Li Sheng, the leader of the Divine Eye gang, was finally apprehended. This news sent shockwaves through the gang and had a strong impact on the underground forces in society. On the same day, another key figure, Zhao Jun, was also arrested by the police. However, it took nearly 10 days to capture everyone involved in the incident. On the day the incident occurred, Zhao Jun used his influence to create chaos in the crowd in an attempt to escape. Notably, he and his subordinates were caught up in a fight, which interrupted their attempt to flee. After being arrested, Zhao Jun confessed to the police that his girlfriend, Xiao Xia, worked at a bar near the crime scene. Around 2 p.m., as he was approaching her workplace, Zhao Jun called his girlfriend. However, Xiao Xia had forgotten her phone and someone else answered. When Zhao Jun heard a man's voice on the phone, his anger erupted and both sides began arguing. After hanging up, Zhao Jun began to suspect that someone was bullying his girlfriend. He quickly called on his gang for help, and coincidentally, Li Miao and another gang arrived at the bar at the same time. The two gangs glared at each other, and the situation quickly spiraled into chaos when some members of the Divine Eye gang began chasing Li Miao and a bar employee, suspecting they were bullying Zhao Jun's girlfriend. After a brief chase, Li Miao managed to escape and return to the bar. He tried to gather his companions and returned to confront the Divine Eye gang, specifically Zhao Jun. After a violent confrontation, Zhao Jun's gang was quickly defeated and became the target of retaliation from Li Miao's gang. Seeing this, Zhao Jun and his gang used their phones to contact other members. Reinforcements from the Divine Eye gang arrived with various weapons, including bricks and stones, and began chasing after Li Miao and his gang. However, Li Miao's gang, being clever, ran into a narrow alley to escape. The entire conflict was captured on security cameras. During the dangerous escape, a young man in the bar began experiencing severe anxiety and slowed down, eventually becoming the target of the Divine Eye gang. His back, legs, and arms were covered in wounds from multiple weapon strikes, causing a large amount of blood loss. The appearance of the injured person forced the Divine Eye gang to stop the chase and flee the scene. The incident was successfully resolved, and the injured person was taken to the hospital for treatment. The police also arrested a member of the Divine Eye gang who had been left behind. Thanks to prior experience, the police quickly apprehended the other 9 suspects. The authorities also intensified their interrogations and investigations. They discovered that many other street violence cases had been concealed, with numerous victims too afraid to report the gang due to fear of retaliation. Based on the collected information, it didn't take long for the police to capture the remaining gang members, completely dismantling the Divine Eye gang. According to police statistics, most members of the Divine Eye gang were unemployed youth. Many of them were school dropouts, either because their parents worked far away or due to parental divorce. They spent their days wandering the streets, rarely returning home, and often hanging out at cafes and internet cafes. Eventually, they became criminals and faced the consequences of their illegal actions. Gang leader Li Sheng was sentenced to life imprisonment, while subordinate Zhao Jun received a 30-year sentence. Many other gang members also faced sentences ranging from several months to several years. Since 2016, in Tianshui, a city in Gansu province, local businesses had frequently been targeted by burglars. One of the most notable thefts was the theft of electric bikes. Thanks to strict surveillance, the police quickly apprehended several juvenile suspects aged between 12 and 15. A common trait among these suspects was that they all had the Divine Eye tattoo on their foreheads. This gang was responsible for over 20 criminal offenses involving a large amount of money, totaling more than 1 million yuan. In October 2018, a series of robberies involving knives took place in Longyang District, Baoshan City, Yunnan Province. In addition to robbing victims of their property, the robbers also demanded that the victims scan a WeChat QR code and transfer all the balance from their WeChat wallets. Fortunately, due to their ignorance, the police were able to quickly identify the recipients of the money. They launched a manhunt and swiftly arrested a notorious criminal gang. All members of this gang had the divine eye tattoo on their foreheads. After confirming that this gang had caused damages in over 20 criminal cases, they were prosecuted according to the law. Although the Divine Eye Gang was dismantled, the consequences of their actions still loomed large. In September 2020, the Henan Provincial Special Police arrested a man who had stolen a mobile phone on the streets. The man was wearing a white short-sleeve shirt, jeans, and sneakers. Both of his arms were covered in tattoos, one of which was a large tattoo on his right hand reading "Thank you, Parents." On his forehead, the man had a diamond-shaped tattoo resembling the divine eye of the gang. His hair in the front had been dyed blonde. It was revealed that the reason he stole the phone was because he wanted to buy a new phone for his girlfriend, but couldn't afford it. As for the diamond-shaped tattoo, he was likely imitating the Divine Eye Gang, though it is also possible he wanted to become the leader of a new gang. What do you think about this Divine Eye Gang? Steel is the perfect symbol of the success of Balkan crime lords in the underground world of drug trafficking from Latin America. It is believed that in 2011, Driton Rekapai arrived in Ecuador after escaping from prison in Belgium. And this is the story of a man who seemed unstoppable, leading one of the largest drug smuggling organizations in the world. Even while incarcerated, he still controlled an alliance of 14 notorious Albanian criminal organizations, and together they smuggled thousands of kilograms of cocaine across the globe. Prison escapes, drugs, corruption, assassinations, and money. The story of Driton has all the elements to send chills down anyone's spine. This is the journey of Driton Rexhepi, one of Albania's most feared drug lords. Born in 1980, Driton stepped into a life of crime at a young age. As a teenager, he was suspected of being involved in the assassination of 2 police officers in 1998, marking the beginning of a bloody criminal career. Throughout the late 1990s, while on the run, he was suspected of being involved in several robbery and drug trafficking cases. It was during this period that Driton began to build his criminal network, expanding into other countries. In 2006, Driton was finally arrested at the port of Durrës, Albania, under suspicion of murder. But as soon as he was brought back to his cell after questioning, a security loophole allowed him to easily walk out of the prison. Without any hesitation, he calmly told the guard, "I've been released." Whether the guard was complicit with Driton or not remains unknown. But one thing is certain, Driton had made his first prison escape, and it was only the beginning. After his escape, Driton returned to the Netherlands, where he continued his involvement in larger drug operations. But in 2008, he was arrested again, this time extradited to Italy for cocaine trafficking. You can probably guess what happened next, right? He escaped yet again, this time from the supposedly impenetrable Vera prison. Driton had truly turned his prison escapes into an art form. In 2011, Spanish authorities arrested Driton once more. He was extradited to Belgium to serve time for armed robbery, but his imprisonment at the outdated Merksplaats prison, which was not equipped to handle such a dangerous criminal, proved to be a fatal mistake. With his dangerous nature and history of successful escapes, it wasn't difficult for Driton to break out once again. This time he was officially placed on Interpol's Red Notice list. After disappearing once more, Driton began building his empire in Ecuador. Ecuador doesn't produce cocaine, but it is the world's largest exporter of bananas, with around 6.5 million tons shipped annually. Ecuador's strategic location, sandwiched between the world's largest cocaine-producing countries, Colombia, Bolivia, and Peru, made it an ideal transit point for drug cartels. Exploiting banana containers, a perishable commodity often given cursory inspections, Driton smuggled hundreds of kilograms of cocaine into Europe. A perfect combination of intelligence and ruthlessness, coupled with deadly mistakes from the authorities, turned Driton into one of the world's most dangerous and notorious drug lords. In June 2014, Driton was arrested again. You might think, this time he surely can't escape, right? But don't jump to conclusions. Being incarcerated in Ecuador was not a failure, but a heaven-sent opportunity for him. Driton was arrested in Quito after police discovered 278 kilograms of cocaine during a drug bust operation. Along with 11 others, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison. However, instead of hindering Driton, this sentence actually helped him expand his drug empire from inside the prison. Prisons in Ecuador are notorious for their chaos and lack of control, making them fertile ground for Driton to continue running his operations. Not only was he free to communicate with his associates, but he could also organize video calls from his cell, expanding his global drug trafficking network. But Dritton's real secret to success was not just his ability to evade the law, but his connection to a notorious figure, Cesar Emilio Montenegro Castillo, also known as Don Monte. The two met in prison, and this relationship catapulted Dritton to new heights in the cocaine smuggling world. Even while incarcerated, Dritton forged ties with some of the most powerful gangs in the world, including El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel and Norte del Valle in Colombia. Becoming partners with these kingpins allowed Dritton to quickly rise to the top of the criminal hierarchy. In fact, whenever he purchased cocaine, these gangs would gift him an equivalent amount for free. Italian investigations revealed that Dritton didn't have to pay up front. He only paid after selling the drugs, doubling his profits without needing to invest any capital. Dritton's notoriety lay not only in the scale of his smuggling operations, but also in his ability to run a global organization from inside an Ecuadorian prison. He became the leader of a massive smuggling organization known as Compagnia Bello, where he was the true boss, a king without a crown in the Albanian criminal world. Compagnia Bello is an alliance of 14 Albanian criminal organizations, and they didn't stop at drug smuggling through major ports like Antwerp and Rotterdam. They completely revolutionized the traditional crime model, eliminating intermediaries and controlling the entire supply chain from source to user, keeping the massive profits for themselves. Within Compagnia Bello's network, each person played a distinct and crucial role. Gimme was the link to South American cartels, ensuring a steady supply of cocaine for Dritton. Meanwhile, Reedy operated in the Netherlands, coordinating the distribution of drugs across Europe to ensure the goods reached smaller distribution groups. Thanks to the sophistication of his organizational structure, Dritton turned Compagnia Bello into a powerful criminal machine that struck fear across Europe. Dritton, once an Albanian criminal, transformed himself into a global drug lord. And now, whether imprisoned or on the run, he continues to control one of the world's largest criminal empires. In the notorious Compagnia Bello organization, the names of the Marco brothers, Gertie and Marco Edmund, stood out as indispensable links. They transported hundreds of kilograms of cocaine from the Netherlands across the Italian and German borders into many other European countries by hiding the goods in truck shipments. But what set Compagnia Bello apart wasn't just its sophisticated smuggling routes, it was the unity among the members within the network. Instead of competing or fighting for power, they understood that working together brought enormous profits. Secret exchanges of information about police investigations, drivers, and future plans made them nearly untouchable. In just a few years, this organization smuggled nearly 10,000 kilograms of cocaine across Europe, all marked with the cartel's logo as a symbol of their underground power. The Marco brothers alone were responsible for distributing at least 50 kilograms of cocaine per week, with profits reaching hundreds of millions of dollars. With an estimated annual revenue of around 70.2 million euros, what has made Dritton's empire grow so powerful? The answer lies not only in cooperation between gangs, but also in an extensive network of corruption. From government officials, police, customs officers to port workers, all could be bribed. The enormous profits from drug trafficking turned these bribes into an essential part of the business. A government official could easily turn a blind eye for a pocketed 100,000 euros. A customs officer would be paid 30,000 euros just to forget to inspect a container loaded with cocaine. Police officers received 20,000 euros to release a suspect caught with hundreds of kilograms of drugs. And a port worker, taking only 5 minutes to arrange a container as requested, would walk away with 50,000 euros, far exceeding their annual salary. This corruption network was not limited to just one country. It infiltrated judicial systems in European nations once considered clean. When money talks, everything has a price. And when someone faces a bribe worth more than their annual salary just to do a simple task, refusal becomes much harder. The unity of Compagnia Bello was not just driven by money, but also by absolute loyalty. In Albanian criminal culture, the oath of loyalty holds immense value. Anyone daring to betray, break the rules, or leak information would face horrifying consequences, not only for themselves, but also for their families. No matter where they lived, the organization's reach would always find them. And in the Albanian criminal world, threats like these are never taken lightly. Above all, loyalty and ruthlessness were the foundation that helped Dritton's empire continually expand, becoming one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Europe. Another key factor that made Dritton's empire so robust was the enormous cash flow and his sophisticated financial management. Making money in the underworld was a challenge, but moving, laundering, and spending vast amounts without leaving a trace was the true art. To achieve this, Compagnia Bello operated an underground money transfer system originating from China called Feiqian, similar to the Middle Eastern Hawala system. The Feiqian system allowed money to be transferred across countries without the need for banks, with no financial transactions recorded. You could deposit money in one place, and the recipient would receive the equivalent amount anywhere in the world, leaving no trace for investigators to follow. Estimates suggest that millions of euros were laundered through this network, helping Compagnia Bello conceal all of its illegal financial activities. However, Dritton was not someone who liked to depend on others. The Feiqian system took a significant percentage for its services and always looking to maximize his profits. Dritton sought to eliminate the middlemen. He began using his own money couriers. These couriers discreetly distributed cash globally, hiding the money in cars, trucks, much like how they transported drugs. This allowed Dritton not only to increase his profits, but also to maintain full control over the cash flow. By January 2017, Dritton was planning another major operation with Don Monty and another associate named Antrax. They carefully hid 371 kilograms of cocaine in the floors of shipping containers. The plan was executed with precision as the floors of the containers were opened up, packed with cocaine, then insulated with foam and carefully welded shut. When the containers arrived at their destination, the legitimate goods were unloaded first while the secret stash of cocaine remained safely inside. Although Italian police received an inside tip and intercepted part of a conversation between Dritton and Antrax, everything went smoothly. The shipment was already en route before authorities could act. When things seemed unstoppable, Antrax confidently sent Dritton a message: "Trust me, if we keep doing business with these people, soon you won't even know where to hide all the money." This shipment was sent to a top Albanian criminal group, bringing in enormous profits. With an original price of $4,400 per kilogram, the total cost of 371 kilograms of cocaine was $1.63 million, of which $1.2 million had already been paid. According to Antrax, once the cocaine arrived in Europe, it would be sold at a price between 22,000 to 24,000 euros per kilogram, generating at least 7 million euros. That was an enormous profit for a successful operation. But luck wasn't always on Dritton's side. While he was enjoying his success, a dark shadow was quietly looming over the Compagnia Bello organization. Since 2015, the largest investigation ever targeting Albanian organized crime had been launched, led by an Italian prosecutor with cooperation from the Netherlands and support from several other countries. This investigation hit directly at the heart of Compagnia Bello's operations, threatening to tear apart Dritton's infamous criminal empire and his associates. A showdown between the law and the underworld was about to erupt, and although Dritton had managed to evade police hunts many times this time, he might not find a way out. The investigation had a single goal: to dismantle the entire Compagnia Bello empire. Over 5 years, investigators persevered step by step, and the result was the arrest of 84 members of this organization. However, this was just the tip of the iceberg, because Compagnia Bello continued to operate almost unaffected. Arrests took place across Italy, Ecuador, the Netherlands, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Germany, with over 4 tons of cocaine and 5.5 million euros in cash seized. Then on one fateful day, September 15th, 2020, before dawn, hundreds of police officers, including elite special forces and with the support of Europol and Eurojust, carried out simultaneous raids. These sweeps targeted high-profile figures within the organization, and this time, even bigger players were taken down, including Dennis Matashi. A total of 20 arrests occurred across Europe: 5 in Italy, 5 in Albania, 2 in the Netherlands, 2 in Germany, 2 in Greece, and the rest in Romania, Hungary, Spain, and Dubai. But like every cunning mastermind, Drayton once again slipped through the net. After serving 7 years in an Ecuadorian prison, he was unexpectedly granted temporary release in 2021 due to good behavior by a judge. A suspicious decision, especially considering Albania and Italy had requested his extradition. The court required Drayton to wear a tracking device, not leave Ecuador, and report every 15 days. However, for someone who had escaped custody multiple times, this was only a matter of time. As expected, Drayton cut off the tracking device and disappeared like a ghost, leaving no trace behind. Incredibly, his drug business continued to operate as if nothing had happened. Was Drayton truly a criminal genius? Looking at his record, it's hard to deny the sophistication and capability he had in running a global drug empire, whether incarcerated or on the run. Italian prosecutors could only exclaim after his latest escape, "It's been 2 years since he last vanished in Ecuador." But then, on November 10th, 2023, shocking news broke. Drayton had been captured again, this time in Turkey. He entered the country using a fake Colombian passport under the name Benjamin Omar Perez Garcia. Turkish special forces stormed his residence, and soon a video spread showing Drayton subdued on the floor, surrounded by officers. The villa where he was hiding was thoroughly searched, revealing a stash of weapons, enormous amounts of cash, and luxury items like expensive watches and jewelry. Drayton was immediately placed in jail. That evening, Interpol and judicial authorities in Albania began the extradition process. But the biggest question remains: will Drayton manage to escape one more time? And this time, how severe will the sentence he faces be? Not to mention, he is also a suspect in the mysterious disappearance of a man. The man was kidnapped on January 20th, 2020, and has not been seen since. The story behind this abduction is believed to be linked to the fact that the man's brother stole nearly 300 kilograms of cocaine from Drayton in the UK. All of this makes one wonder, would Drayton's life have turned out differently if he hadn't escaped from the prison cell in Durs, Albania in 2005? Would he have been charged in the 2 murders he was suspected of? If he had been caught back then, perhaps his criminal journey wouldn't have stretched on to this day. As of now, there has been no official announcement regarding Drayton's extradition. Has he been sent back to Albania yet? It's possible that everything is happening under complete secrecy, and only when Drayton is truly behind bars will the world know that the notorious fugitive has finally been locked away.
What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below so everyone can see. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support me. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.